is continuing to tease her character change in a big way, so we'll see what's new there. We'll also check out what's going on with Becky Lynch, some big returns, and more. Starting things off with Bayley and this apparent character transition. It's been a rough few months for Bayley's WWE career, with nothing but a whole lot of lowlights in recent memory. Missing those big premium live events and her friendship with Lyra falling apart has caused Bayley to basically go through a mental breakdown. Bayley hasn't been physically seen on Raw in a handful of weeks, but what they've been doing for Bayley is showing a pre-recorded interview that is ending on cliffhangers every week and continuing the following week. The first part of the interview ended with Bayley hearing her heel voice in her head, while the August 18th edition of Raw directly picked up from where that interview last left off at. The voice of her heel self mocks Bayley for her recent path of being directionless, and how nothing Bayley has been doing as of late makes any sense. Heel Bayley tells that without her, Bayley is a loser. Heel Bayley backs up her argument by saying that when Bayley embraced her, they were a double champion and the longest reigning Smackdown women's champion of all time. Heel Bayley also advised her to stay away from having any friends because they always stab her in the back. We saw examples of that from Damage Control, Becky Lynch, and even Sasha Banks. All people that Bayley were close to, but one by one, they all betrayed her in the end. Heel Bayley then laughs at Bayley for missing WrestleMania and SummerSlam. The heel voice continues to try and get Bayley to listen to her, but Bayley does eventually block out the voice. Bayley says that she doesn't know what she needs, and as the screen is fading to black, Bayley's inner voice can be heard asking her if she wants a hug, and it ends right there. So the second part of the interview ended in a similar fashion to the first one, with a cliffhanger that appears to be teasing the next part. The first one ended with the heel Bayley voice being teased, and we saw that whole conversation play out there in the second part. But now the second one is ending with the NXT Hugger Bayley's voice being teased and hinted at. So heel Bayley made her case to why she should listen to her, how they were a double champion and had all this major success when she listened to that voice. Bayley tuned that voice out, and it looks like in part 3 of this interview that will air on August 25th, we'll hear Hugger Babyface Bayley make her case for why current day Bayley should listen to her instead. Heel Bayley made her points, and now it's time for NXT Bayley to make some points of her own. Hugger Bayley was also a champion. That version of Bayley is what put her on the map, turned her into a viral star, and she had some of her all-time classic matches during that era. So those are all things that Hugger Bayley could bring up during that part 3 of the interview, trying to convince Bayley that if she stays on the good side, even reverts to the Hugger gimmick, maybe they'll be able to recapture some of that magic from Bayley's NXT days and the early days on the main roster before her 2019 heel turn. So Babyface Bayley is sure going to pitch herself hard to Bayley to try and win this internal battle that's going on right now in Bayley's head. The heel side is trying to pull her in one direction, and now her babyface side is pulling her in a whole other direction. So the character is going through a lot right now mentally, and it's just very possible that these series of interviews could end with Bayley just completely losing her mind and having a full breakdown. It definitely seems like she's trying to silence these voices, but they're getting louder and stronger. So how long until Bayley just completely mentally collapses because of it? It feels like that's a possibility here for sure. Maybe Bayley doesn't fully revert to the Hugger gimmick or her 2020 self. Maybe she ends up being a mix of both sides, a split personality. But you do got to remember that they're already doing that right now with R-Truth. So would they really have two superstars both running with a split personality trait at the same time? That's a big question here. But the split personality route is a path that's been used in pro wrestling by many stars. And there's been several instances where the split personality route does really work. So Bayley truly goes through a full breakdown where she's trying to be the Hugger Bayley. She's also trying to be the Ding Dong Bayley. That does sound like it could get messy, but it also sounds like a really compelling and complex character, depending on the direction they go in with her. So it looks like Bayley is caught right in the middle with two of the most successful eras trying to pull her back in their respective directions. Heel Bayley wants to be released again, while now Hugger Bayley also wants to have another shot to be seen again. This interview series has been quite a unique way to show the transition in between Bayley's characters and heavily hint at it. This interview series may end abruptly in a few weeks, but it'll lead directly to Bayley's on-screen return, and maybe that's the big moment where we find out what Bayley wants to do. Will she give in to the heel side or the babyface side? A lot of fans feel like the heel side will ultimately win this battle within Bayley. Either way, it's going to be extremely interesting few weeks to see what the big payoff for Bayley will be after all. Chris Jericho has not been seen inside a WWE ring since 2018, and just 1 year later, Chris Jericho shocked the world when he was one of the first big stars to sign with AEW and leave WWE. Chris Jericho has been strictly with AEW since 2019, but now a WWE return is being teased by Jericho himself. In a recent Instagram post that was highlighting how Jericho's current AEW contract expires in December 2025 and how he could return to WWE, Chris Jericho simply dropped a like on the post, and it made the internet explode with buzz and speculation. If Jericho is going to fully wrap things up with AEW after this contract expires in December, is he truly interested in a WWE return? And would WWE be interested in him as well? Well, by leaving a like on that post, everyone assumed that Jericho is interested in a return to WWE. People already are speculating about a potential 2026 Royal Rumble return for Chris Jericho. He'll be turning 55 this November, so if he does return to WWE, just got to assume that it'll be for one final run for sure. It's pretty insane that, especially by Royal Rumble 2026, it would be a nearly 8 full years since Chris Jericho was last seen inside a WWE ring. That would be quite the electric return, especially if it was to happen as a surprise at the Royal Rumble. So no doubt, everyone's going to have their eyes on Chris Jericho's moves here in the near future. Naomi recently confirmed the rumors that she's pregnant and will be having her first child with her husband, Jimmy Uso. Naomi revealed the news and relinquished the Women's World title on Raw, saying that she's giving everyone 9 months to do whatever they want with her title, but she's coming back to take it when she's ready. Everyone was posting all their reactions to the news. Baby faces, heels, everyone was posting their excitement for Jimmy and Naomi. But one individual that stayed true to her heel self in a jokingly way was Becky Lynch. Becky quoted Naomi's pregnancy announcement, pointing out how irresponsible it was for Naomi to get pregnant while being the active world champion. Becky's delivering an ironic joke there, since Becky herself became pregnant while being the active world champion back in 2020. So a funny response there by Becky that stays true to her character, but in a silly and funny way. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.